Please.
For which movie?
Mirror, mirror on the wall. What happens when the fairest of them all disappears overnight? One week you can still grab Snow White Blu-rays at Walmart end caps. The next, startled shoppers are staring at a barren rack, employees muttering that corporate yanked the skew. Rumors say Disney isn't just trimming orders, it's ghosting its own princess, pulling the film from streaming carousels and brick-and-mortar shelves, as though the billion-dollar gamble never existed. Add in rumors of a 9-figure write-down, panic calls from licensees stuck with unsellable merch, and backlot insiders insisting a top executive lost the castle keys over the fiasco, and the mirror starts to look less like a fairy tale prop and more like a crime scene clue. So tonight we're cracking that mirror wide open. Why would the world's most powerful studio erase its newest crown jewel? How did one breakout star become the poster child for Hollywood hubris? And what secret scars, financial, reputational, even personal, are hiding behind the polished veneer of a story we all thought we knew? Stick around, because once you see the shards on the floor, every other Disney remake will look very different. When Disney first announced Rachel Zegler as Snow White back in 2021, the studio expected applause for fresh representation. Instead, the internet erupted like a cauldron. Snow White trended, but for all the wrong reasons, as gatekeepers shouted, her skin isn't literally snow, while culture war pundits weaponized the choice against wokeness. In a single afternoon, the project absorbed more heat than most films see across an entire campaign, and every subsequent update had to swim through that boiling sea. Zegler tried defiance. At D23, she flashed her megawatt grin and told reporters she was honored to update a dated story for modern girls. The soundbite traveled faster than fairy dust and hit twice as hard. Commenters clipped the quote, stripped out context, and it returned wearing menacing armor. Zegler calls the original weird. Likes spiked, retweets howled, hashtag sprouted spores. Before the cameras even rolled, the actress had become a lightning rod. Disney's risk calculus shifted overnight. What began as an ambitious reimagining was now a public relations minefield. Executives whispered about message discipline, but every new attempt to spin the project only fed the tremor. Offhand remarks from crew members turned into think pieces. Old tweets resurfaced. Influencers farmed outrage for clicks. The casting was never just a casting. It was a referendum on an entire cultural moment, and there was no putting that genie back in the lamp. But Hollywood folklore says a curse rarely stops at the first victim. Enter Peter Dinklage, whose 2022 podcast rant detonated a fresh cluster of landmines. The Emmy winner blasted Disney for still telling that backward story about 7 dwarfs living in a cave together, and the studio panicked. Practical dwarf casting was scrapped in favor of fully CGI, magical woodland creatures. What felt like disaster aversion to executives looked like erasure to working actors of short stature. Within hours, the Little People of America Union issued a statement calling the decision deeply disappointing. Hashtag not my dwarf surged. Conservative commentators framed the swap as one more anti-traditional move. Progressive outlets accused Disney of papering over inclusivity with digital sprites. Either way, controversy doubled. The film no longer had one angry faction. It now had 2, pointing at each other and screaming, "You're the problem." Zegler, filming in the UK countryside, kept silent, but silence on the internet sounds like guilt. Fan forums turned vicious. Leaked set photos of motion capture performers in gray suits were passed around as evidence that Disney had ruined childhoods again. Late-night comics feasted. Each punchline chipped away at the brand's once invincible veneer of magic. By the time shooting wrapped, negative sentiment had metastasized. The studio hoped the first teaser would reset the conversation. Instead, it merely offered fresh frames for snarky freeze shots. Behind the castle walls, nervous executives stared at tracking charts already flashing yellow. In Hollywood, yellow lights rarely turn green again. And yet, nothing kneecaps a blockbuster faster than a star opening her mouth at the wrong second. Press junkets usually follow a script, compliment co-stars, praise the director, tease the audience. Zegler's first long-form sit-down broke that template. She called the 1937 classic really weird and declared her princess won't be saved by a prince this time because she's not dreaming about true love. Ill-phrased or not, The quote became gospel to reaction channels. Clips spread faster than dandelion seeds in a gale. Damage control mode engaged. Zegler hopped from podcast to podcast, clarifying that she loved the original, that she merely wanted to update certain outdated elements. The more she apologized, the hungrier the mob grew. YouTube compilations titled "Every Time Rachel Zegler Insulted Walt Disney" racked up millions of views. The algorithm had chosen its villain, and polite clarifications fall flat when the thumbnail shows you mid-blink with a devil horn emoji. Corporate PR tried a softer angle, highlight Zegler's volunteer work, her musical theater roots, her Colombian-Polish heritage. But the same identity that once looked like marketing gold now attracted trolls who saw only politics. Critics accused her of biting the hand that feeds. Fans of the original felt dismissed. By the end of the tour, Zegler's name alone could generate comment section wars 500 replies deep. Inside Disney's Burbank Fortress, a whisper campaign began. Could the film survive its own lead? Turns out the answer depended on whether her co-stars would throw lifelines or light matches. Gal Gadot, Amazonian icon, global bankable brand, played the evil queen. During the European junket, she praised the crew's hard work, but slipped one loaded phrase into an otherwise bland sound bite. There was a misalignment at the corporate level. Reporters pounced. Did she mean script disagreements? Marketing chaos? Personality clashes? Gadot shrugged and answered, "I'll speak more when I feel comfortable." 10 little words, 10,000 Tumblr theories. Back in Los Angeles, Andrew Burnap, originally announced as the unnamed lead, ghosted the US premiere entirely. Paparazzi photos surfaced of him vacationing in Tulum on opening weekend. Fans dug up an earlier red carpet clip where Zegler laughed, "For all I know, Andrew's scenes could get cut. Hollywood, baby." That offhand joke suddenly looked prophetic when his on-screen runtime clocked in at barely 4 minutes. Critics smelled blood. Insiders leaked whispers of siloed rewrites, of the Queen's motivations shifting mid-shoot, of last-second ADR to patch tonal whiplash. None of it was catastrophic alone. Together, they painted a picture, a film built on uneasy teamwork. And audiences can sense tension long before they can articulate it. When Gadot and Zegler posed on the red carpet, their polite smiles became Rorschach tests. Did that side-eye hide disdain or exhaustion? Viewers chose the spicier answer every time. Disney's famed synergy machine was sputtering. Senior brass quietly clipped plans for cast-led press tours in Southeast Asia and Latin America, citing budget efficiencies. Translation: let's not risk more unscripted sound bites. But even flawless PR can't save a film once the ticket stubs start printing in real time. Opening weekend numbers should feel like a coronation. Instead, Variety's headline called the $43 million domestic debut sleepy. International totals nudged the haul to $88 million, still well under industry forecasts. Worse, Lebanon censorship board banned the film outright due to Gadot's IDF past. The story went global, and hashtag boycott Disney trended in Arabic for 2 straight days. The meme that broke morale came from a suburban Illinois Cineplex, a TikTok user filming the 2 p.m. matinee panning across row after row of empty seats before whisper counting 1, 2. The 9-second clip amassed 12 million views in 48 hours, and mainstream outlets soon embedded it in their coverage. As the second weekend cratered 67%, theater operators pleaded with Disney for waivers to replace Snow White with literally anything. Some swapped in Kung Fu Panda 4, others filled screens with local art house fare. When spreadsheets prove you'll lose less money offering French documentaries at 3 p.m. on a Saturday, you flip the switch with zero hesitation. Retail felt the chill next. Target's end caps overflowed with discounted dolls, Funko Pops, and ceramic mugs. A viral photo of untouched merchandise under a "buy one get 2 free" banner summed up the sentiment better than 1,000 analyst notes. Still, one flop is survivable unless it detonates the next project before cameras roll. Early April 2025, Entertainment Weekly reported Disney had paused its live-action Tangled. In studio speak, pause often equals deep freeze. Leaked call sheets revealed production designer meetings canceled until further notice. Trade reporters joined the dots. Snow White stumbled, so the boardroom yanked Rapunzel's ladder. Wikipedia's ever-vigilant editors added production suspended indefinitely within minutes. Why scrap a property with proven musical hits and a built-in fan base? Because numbers don't lie. If a marquee princess backed by a $200 million marketing blitz can't break even, investors lose patience. McKinsey consultants reportedly told Disney the audience was showing franchise fatigue. Translation: the public doesn't want carbon copy reboots every spring. The collateral damage extended to the consumer products division. Toy manufacturers that spent 2 years prototyping Rapunzel as Zendaya dolls learned of the freeze via Slack screenshots. Without a film, mass retailers lowered orders, forcing factories to pivot mid-run. One executive joked, "We're turning thousands of tiny frying pans into frozen keychains." And all roads led back to Zegler. A star once predicted to headline Tangled herself. Casting shortlists leaked last year with her name atop. Industry blogs now treat that tidbit like punchline garnish. Remember when? But the heaviest blow landed not on spreadsheets, but on the shoulders of a 24-year-old in front of a phone camera. Early April 2025, Entertainment Weekly reported Disney had paused its live-action Tangled. In studio speak, pause often equals deep freeze. Leaked call sheets revealed production designer meetings canceled until further notice. Trade reporters joined the dots. Snow White stumbled, so the boardroom yanked Rapunzel's ladder. Wikipedia's ever-vigilant editors added production suspended indefinitely within minutes. Why scrap a property with proven musical hits and a built-in fan base? Because numbers don't lie. If a marquee princess backed by a $200 million marketing blitz can't break even, investors lose patience. McKinsey consultants reportedly told Disney the audience was showing franchise fatigue. Translation: the public doesn't want carbon copy reboots every spring. The collateral damage extended to the consumer products division. Toy manufacturers that spent 2 years prototyping Rapunzel as Zendaya dolls learned of the freeze via Slack screenshots. Without a film, mass retailers lowered orders, forcing factories to pivot mid-run. One executive joked, "We're turning thousands of tiny frying pans into frozen keychains." And all roads led back to Zegler. A star once predicted to headline Tangled herself. Casting shortlists leaked last year with her name atop. Industry blogs now treat that tidbit like punchline garnish. Remember when? But the heaviest blow landed not on spreadsheets, but on the shoulders of a 24-year-old in front of a phone camera. If even Disney, the empire that sold us childhood in recyclable packaging, can't summon a crowd for its flagship princess, what hope do lesser kingdoms have? Maybe fairy tales still work, but only when they feel like tales, not term papers. Maybe audiences don't hate new voices. They hate being lectured mid-popcorn. Or maybe the world's just tired of copy-paste cinema and wants original magic again. Look past the outrage rubbernecking and one truth glints through the broken glass. A single storyline can't please every tribe of the internet. Sooner or later, creators must choose whom to delight and whom to disappoint, and accept the fallout. For Rachel Zegler, the next page could read "Come back" or "Cautionary Tale." For Disney, the mirror whispers a harsher spell. Play it safer and you risk irrelevance. Play it bolder and you risk the guillotine. Either way, the fairest of them all throne no longer sits unchallenged. So tell me, viewers, when you hold your own magic mirror, what do you want to see staring back? Drop your take in the comments below. Slap that subscribe potion, and I'll meet you in the next deep dive where the storybook pages are still fluttering, waiting for the ending we haven't written yet.